Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go over these three different models. I now own all three. I just bought the one in the middle. It's brand new. It's the Lark M2S by Hollyland. The other ones are the ones I've had for quite a while, and I'll talk to you about all three of these models. I just started unboxing these and noticed some things that are already different. Perhaps in some ways they are improvements, in other ways not so much. So I'll go over all those things with you as someone who has done literally thousands of clips, interviewed hundreds of people, and done a lot of work with these particular wireless microphones. Let me just kind of go through the full gamut of the three that I own and kind of give you the differences between all of them. They're all wireless microphones, which I like using wireless microphones. It makes it a lot more flexible when you're on set with your interviewees and interviewers. It just makes it very convenient to have a wireless microphone that is directly tapped right into your camera. You don't have to line up or sync up the audio later unless you're using multiple cameras. It just works really great. In fact, there is even a workaround for that. If you are using multiple cameras, if they're fairly close to each other, you can actually tie them together where you can have the sound going to two different cameras at one time. But I'll digress. We're just going to go back into what are the differences in these microphones. So you might have seen this one. It's the Hollyland Max Duo. And this particular unit comes with two microphones. There's a story why you only see one here, but it comes with two. And I'll get to that story in a moment. But this is a nice unit. It has great sounds, 24-bit sound, has noise cancellation. It just does a great job. This has something that the other two models do not have. Yes, it is a bit bulkier. It's a little bit bigger, okay? This has been like a normal size for a long time. But it is bigger than the newer models. However, this has an internal recorder in it. So while you're recording, even though you have this hooked to your camera and you're getting the sound that way, this actually will record a backup version of your audio, which is fantastic. It's actually saved me a couple of times when I did not have proper audio on my main cameras. This is why I still use this microphone on set, literally as late as this week, even though I have a microphone that's smaller. So, in fact, if you're watching this Highland, figure out a way to have this standard in your other microphones as well, or at least give an option, right? Maybe you have two different levels. Maybe it's an S and an SR. Maybe the SR has a recorder in it. But I'm telling you, this is something for a professional video maker. This is definitely good to have. The other things are pretty similar. One other thing I do like about this one is I can control from this head unit here, I can control a lot of things. I can control the gain. I can control the sensitivity. I can mute one microphone and have the other one going. I can mute both microphones. I can turn noise cancellation on or off remotely without having to go up to my interview subject and touch their microphone. I can do that remotely from this unit. I like that as well. So this works extremely well. And just like most of these, oops, just like most of these, you can fit this on the top of your camera, and this right here sits right into that shoe area, that hot shoe, cold shoe area of your camera, and it works extremely well. So that's really the Hollyland Max Duo. So if you're looking at that, I think I bought this for about 250 bucks. I think you can get them now for around $200. It's a great unit. I like it a lot. Let me show you the next one. The next one I bought, and what I really liked about this unit, and it's actually the unit that I'm actually wearing right now. This is the other one. It comes with two of these. So it comes in a box like this, and you get two of them, and it has a magnet on it. So this becomes real convenient. Like right now, you can't see my microphone. Let me show it to you. It's right there. So I'm able to hook it behind my shirt. One side is behind, the other side has a magnet on it, and it's below this. So you're not able to see that I have this on me. So it works really well. Clients love it. They're really impressed with how small it is. So it is kind of a nice thing to have in the client's eyes. They like how small it is, and it has great sound. It does a good job. I mean, you're hearing what the sound is right now. So it does a good job on the sound. A couple of the complaints I guess I would have is that I got really used to having this beautiful readout on this one here. You know, I'm able but you don't have that on this one. All you got is there's three little lights that'll show up right here. And you can turn this dial and it'll affect those three little lights. You have two more lights up here. So it's basically telling you if it's working, if it's on, and how loud the volume is. You just don't have a lot of control here. So if you're looking for more control, you probably should still buy this one. You're not going to get that in this one. What I have noticed that is good though, if you're using an Apple, like an iOS product, or I imagine it's probably the same if you have an Android, but you are able to have some level of control in the app. That isn't always convenient for me because I'm not recording on the iPhone in most cases. I'm usually recording on one of my professional cameras. So that doesn't really work for me in most cases. So this has been problematic in a couple of cases of just getting the sound just right. Make sure you have headphones. There's no excuse not to have a headphone on set when you're recording with a client. Making sure you're able to listen and hear what the sound is like, and make sure it has the type of headphones that covers your ears to drown out some of the sound in the room. Really hear the sound coming out of it. It saved me so many times because it may sound okay if you're just able to hear it coming out of the speaker on the camera, but it's not the same if you put the headphones on. You may catch up some extra sounds that you just didn't hear. Maybe you're hearing the air conditioner go on, like the air conditioner is going on right now. You may not be able to hear it because the noise cancellation is on. But just imagine if I didn't know that. If I didn't have headphones on, I would not know if it's picking up those extra sounds. So I would definitely suggest, highly recommend, make sure you buy a decent set of microphones. It doesn't have to be an expensive set. I think the ones I bought, I want to say they're like 10 or 12 bucks. They're Sony microphones, Sony headphones, like 10 or 12 bucks. They do the job. I'm able to hear very clearly. I'm not an audiophile when it comes to I just want to make sure that the sound is clear. I'm not getting a lot of extra sound. I'm not getting any crackling. I'm not hearing the microphone clip. Those are all things I don't want to hear. And so if I'm hearing them in the headphones, I can identify it right away. Also, if it sounds very echoey, I hate that sound. I don't want it to sound echoey. So if I start to get that sound, that lets me know that maybe my microphone is not hooked up properly. It may be catching the internal microphone on the camera. So there's a number of reasons why I want to have that feature or have that resource, which is having a microphone to hear what you're trying to record. This particular unit here, that's probably one thing I don't like about it is that I would have to, in fact, in the case of recording on this iPad I'm recording on right now, if I want to hear what I sound like, I'm going to have to wait till the recording is over and play it back. So let's say if I'm on set with a client, I'm going to have to record a sample piece and then play it back to really get the sound if I'm going to be using the iPhone/iPad connection. But fortunately, I don't have to do that because I'm generally working on professional cameras and I simply just listen to it live through my headphones. And you might be wondering, well, how do you do that? Well, one of the things that I do is when I'm hooking it into my camera, which if you're using a professional camera, a lot of times your professional cameras are going to require that you have a connection like this. It's called XLR connection. But what you get with the microphone isn't that. You get something that has a connection like this. So you need to have an adapter to adapt your microphone to that camera. Fortunately, they're not very expensive. I don't quote me on this. I want to say this is maybe like 10 bucks to buy this, but it has this 3.5 millimeter on one end and the XLR connection on the other end. So I simply just take this, I plug this in here, and I plug the other end into my camera. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you have to use a line input. Definitely do not use phantom. Make sure you don't have phantom power on. But I think it's a line input. You may try a line, you may try mic and see if which one it works with best. But this works great. Okay, the sound is very good on this. I've used it more than once. Same thing with the other set I just showed you. It's the same scenario. I have the 3.5 on one end and I have the XLR on the other. It works great. So if you're using a professional camera like a Sony FX9, Sony FX6, and a number of other cameras, Blackmagic, Pro, Pocket Pro, all these other ones that have that work off XLR, you're going to need to have some kind of other adapter or connection in order to make this thing work. I'm not as familiar with some of the other brands like Canon, but I imagine it's probably a similar situation. Some of your newer hybrid cameras that are kind of photo slash video cameras, they may already have the 3.5. In fact, my Sony ZV-E10 Mark II has that, so I can use that original connector I showed you. There we go. I can use this, so this will come with it. So if you have one of those types of cameras, then you don't need an adapter. Those are like prosumer cameras. And then some of the smaller cinema cameras that are kind of the hybrid models, those are going to have this type of connection. So you will not need that adapter I just showed you. Okay, let's move into the newest model. This is the Hollyland, I'm about to say Sony. This is the Hollyland Lark M2S. The other one was the M2. This is the M2S. So the M2S, one thing you notice right off the bat that's different is this is the M2. Okay, it's got the magnet that comes off. Okay. This is the M2S. So instead of it having a magnet that can come off and you can lose, this doesn't have that. This is a clamp here. So this takes the place of having a magnetic situation where, albeit this is a very strong magnet, it doesn't get lost easy. Okay, this is very, very good magnet. So I haven't lost this magnet. I've never had to replace this magnet. I'd have had to replace the magnet on here because this one comes with the magnets also. So yeah, so I have had to replace that, but I have not had to replace this one here. It's been pretty good. Now, with that said, this right here is foolproof. There's no way you can lose this one because it's all one piece. So that's a positive. I would say the slight negative on this is not always going to be the slight negative on this is not always going to be easy to hide. Okay. So like in this situation here, I'd have to be creative with it. I can still make it where it's hidden, but it's just not as compact because the other one here, in fact, some of your badge card holders that are magnetic, I've had my clients put this on the back end of the badge card holder and it worked great. So I took off the magnet here, put it on the back of the badge card holder, and it was just seamless. It was perfect. So you would not have that capability if you're using this new one with the clamp on it. So I don't know, maybe they got lots of feedback and they figured they wanted to get rid of the magnet. I was okay with the magnets. I think I can still be okay with this. I actually like the versatility because there are pluses and minuses to either one of these. So I could see how, for me, because I have both now, I can use, based on the situation, whatever's best for my client and the circumstances and where I'm placing the microphone. So there is one difference I see already. Now, in terms of the receiver, the receiver is very similar in size. It's almost identical in size. In fact, let me just hold them up for you. So this is the receiver. Very close in size. This is slightly smaller, looks like. Slightly, but you'd never notice it if you didn't have both of these. The other differences I see is that there's two indicators at the top, just like this has two indicators at the top. So they both still have the two indicators. And this has the three indicators for volume below. This one has it as well. It's a little harder to see, but it's right there. See that? So it still has everything. It's just more compact on this one. It still has the dial here. Very compact. This also has a dial. So this has a larger dial on it than this one, but they're basically virtually the same. The back of it, there is a little bit of a difference. The older model has the clamp on it, which in my opinion, I actually like having the versatility of a clamp. But to be honest with you, I never actually used it. Because when you're setting this on a camera, you're going to set it in this way on the shoe. It's going to sit right there in the shoe. So you're not really going to use the clamp part. This doesn't have the clamp, But for my use, it's okay because this is going to sit right into, as you can see here, it's going to sit right into that shoe. So for me, not a difference. I think that when it comes to the music, I think when it comes to the sound itself, both these microphones are probably going to be pretty similar. I don't anticipate there being a big difference. Maybe if we look at the specs, this is not a spec type video, so I'm not going to compare how many feet one is versus the other, or what the level of the cancellation is. I can just tell you, in most cases, it's probably going to be very similar in sound. So it really gets down to preference. That's why I wanted to show you all three microphones, because the microphone that I have now, that I'm using now, is similar to this one. If I were to rate them together, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but for me, I would say this one sounds slightly better. It's like a more fuller sound. I don't know why I feel that way, but when I go back and listen to the footage, it's just slightly better, not a ton better. Most people would not even notice the difference. So I would say I would be comfortable saying that you would get similar sound out of this one or the one that I have on or this new one. So if you like the sound that you're hearing now, I would not necessarily let that be a deal breaker for you on which one you're going to get. The things you're going to want to think about are do I need to have an internal recorder in the microphone? Now, I want to give you one workaround you can use. Let's say you don't have a microphone that has an internal recorder on it. You can buy an external recorder. Most external recorders have an input and an output. So what you would do is you would take this same transmitter here, you would have the output of this go into the recorder. Then you would have the recorder go into your camera. That would give you the similar backup nature that I get with having this model. So you actually don't have to have an internal microphone recorder inside the microphone. So you can get around it there. You may already even have an external recorder. So in that case, problem solved. That's one of the things that I like about this one. If you like having more control, especially if you want to have control remotely and you want to control one microphone being muted, the other one not being muted, noise cancellation being on or off, being able to affect the gain of the microphone, how much volume you have one, because you have one person who speaks very loud, the other one speaks kind of softly. You can make those adjustments on the fly without even touching the person's microphone. I like that about this. You're just not going to be able to do that with these. These are not designed to give you that level of control. So if you want that level of control, I would rule out these two. Go ahead and buy this one. If that's not really important to you, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of recording on your phone, that's where I think this shines, either using this one or this one. They're very similar, but just kind of pick the one that you think that fits you better, right? Which one would you like more? Would you be more interested in having this clamp here, which I think works very well? It feels very solid. I think I'm going to like using this. Is that something you would want more? Or would you prefer the magnet? Now, I'm about to show you a game changer for me. If you're in a very loud environment and you need something to help you to make sure that you have great sound, you want to buy one of these. They're all over Amazon. I'll have to put a link below to show you the one that I bought. But these are very effective in giving you great sound, because what happens is it allows you to put that microphone literally like an inch away from their mouth, which is going to be great sound. Even if they're in a very loud environment, they're still going to be able to hear your subject very clearly. So this is going to be a game changer when it comes to very loud environments. Like I've done interviews at conferences where it's very loud, lots of talking all around, lots of noise going on. There might be music going on, just lots of noise. And having this was 100% worth the effort and time it took to make sure I had this. So definitely have one of these in your toolkit, especially if you're doing paid work. Make sure I actually have 4 of these now. So I've got 4 wireless microphones. Actually, I have 6 total. And I've got at least 4 of these. I may even have 5 of these. So I'll be able to use these very, very effectively. Now let me show you how it works. So on here, this particular one here has this little magnet thing here, right? This right here, I can take this, make sure the right part is facing up. So you see it's on there now, and it's connected by magnet. Okay, so I got that. Then I just stick it in here. This looks like a regular microphone. In fact, let me do this. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to use the microphone in this for the rest of the video. Let me do that for you. Okay, so now I'm using the microphone I was using earlier under my shirt. Now I'm using it handheld, and you probably can see a difference in the sound already. Hopefully it's not too loud, but when you're in a noisy environment, this really helps to get your subject's voice in very clearly. It also helps the noise cancellation to work better because it's able to clearly focus on the sound that's closest to it and not some of the loud sounds that are going on around you. Now, another effective tool I've used also when I need to switch up very quickly between subjects is use a necklace. This necklace has, it's a Hollyland necklace, and it actually has a magnet on it, and it will stick to your microphone. Very effective. See there? This is a very effective way of passing mics. So now all you have to do is just put the necklace over their head. Boom, they're ready to go. They're ready to start talking. So between that and this handheld, those are extremely good tools to use to make sure you have great sound. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit long, but I wanted to kind of dig deep in here and make sure I gave you all the tools to know whether you're looking at Hollyland or even DJI or Rode or any type of manufacturer. Just consider some of those things when you're working with it, especially gig after gig, if you're doing paid work, or even if you're a creator that's doing your own work. Depending on how you're going to be using the microphone should determine which one you're going to buy. So hopefully that helps. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite brand. What is your favorite type of microphone to use? I would love to hear about what other content you'd like for me to do. I want to make sure I give you guys really all the tools you need to have a great filming on set, whether it comes to audio, video, and lighting and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.